Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I don't think I'm on up here. Stand by. Thank you for joining us this morning for our Candidates Forum for Board of Education candidates. I am Kelly Keaton. I'm the Public Information Officer for Cecil County Public Schools, but I'm also the coordinator for BEPAC, which is the Business and Education Partnership Advisory Council. So we're very pleased to host this morning. I was telling someone this morning that back when we first began having elected school board in 2006 under Dr. Roberts, BEPAC did host these Board of Education candidate forums. So now that we have contested candidate elections again, we're pleased to be able to provide this opportunity to the public. So before we bring in candidates, I just wanted to explain sort of how the program will work today and then the role of the Board of Education, just to give you some background. So each of our candidates will come in individually. They will have 7 questions, including an introduction, that will be asked by Mr. Josh Hayhurst, who is our moderator today from Super Dojo. Beth Creek is our timekeeper, and Liz Monty sat on the committee with us as well. Joe Shepard also sat on the committee. He's going to be kind of the keeper of the candidates, if you will. He'll be back and forth and bringing them in. So once they finish their questions, we'll bring in the next person. The one thing that we have asked of candidates that I would ask the same of our audience is to please don't use your cell phones during this time. We want to make sure that we keep this process as pure and fair as possible. So just to give you a little bit of background, both CCPS policy, which is a reflection of Maryland law, and Maryland law itself through both COMAR and the annotated code address the roles of the Board of Education. So this is directly what's in the policy, but the summary version is included in this. The obligations of the school board are to provide quality opportunities for all students, and you'll see that word all reflected in both policy and in law. They are also responsible for appointing a superintendent. They are also responsible to set educational policies and establish curriculum according to state law and state board policy. That's important to remember that the County Board of Education is a subservient body to the State Board of Education. And they are also responsible for preparing a budget. This is the exact wording in the annotated code of Maryland, and I think that that first bullet really speaks volumes. That really the main purpose of the school board is to advocate for the school system and for all students, as well as follow law and state board policies, and again, provide quality and equal opportunities for all students. So I share that just to give you some background of what the obligations of this role are before we hear from our candidates. And with that, this is the order that we will follow today. The one person who is not able to join us is Justin Best. So Joe Ferdinando will go first, and then we'll move right down to our District 4 candidates. Okay? Joe, if you want to go ahead and bring in other Joe.
All right, good morning, Joe. You will be asked 7 questions, which includes an opportunity to introduce yourself, and you'll have 60 seconds to answer each question. All right, please introduce yourself and why you're running.
Okay. My name is Joe Ferdinando. I'm from Rising Sun, Maryland. I've been a Cecil County resident since 1990, right around 1990. Came here in middle school, attended Rising Sun Middle School, and I was the first 4-year graduating class from the new Rising Sun High School. My wife is from originally Delaware, but grew up in Rising Sun as well. Went to Rising Sun Middle, Rising Sun High, and Calvert Elementary, and my children are currently in 10th and 12th grade at Rising Sun High School. I'm also currently the JV coach for the Rising Sun High School softball team, and have been involved in the softball to some extent, some from Little League on up with my girls and some of the girls that they've known throughout the years. I'm running for school board because, well, quite honestly, I wasn't asked, I mean, I wasn't ready to be in politics, but I was asked if I would be interested if the position became available. Somebody recommended me, which was a little mind-blowing. So that's why I'm running, because somebody asked me to, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity. I think I'm good for it. And I ran out of time, so that was it. Seemed like a lot.
Great self-control.
Thank you, thank you.
Explain your position on maintenance of effort. And it's maintenance of effort funding from our county government, and how CCPS will best move forward under your leadership to address funding challenges.
As I understand maintenance of effort, it's the basic funding that we need to get by, but when we have changes or we need additional resources, the money is not available to handle that. I think we've gone to our savings for that recently to hire some additional teachers. So I think as a general statement, I understand that it's not enough. It's a bare minimum, and I believe our school systems need more than that. How we get that would be by cooperating with our other elected officials within the county and trying to ask and advocate for additional resources and funds. I know we need more teachers. I know we need more specialty teachers and help on the buses, so I don't think maintenance of effort does that. And I think that it's necessary for us to advocate for additional funds and find a way to make that happen.
As a member of the Board of Education, it's your role to advocate for all students while following state and federal laws, such as those addressing transgender students. That may differ from your personal beliefs. How would you navigate these sensitive issues within the bounds of the law while keeping community values in mind?
So, as an elected Board of Education member, we are neutral. We're not supposed to be party affiliated, right? I mean, obviously, you can look and see what our parties are if we are affiliated. But I do think it's important to remember that we represent every student in the county, whether I believe or disbelieve in what they believe in, or their association, or their political views, or whatever it is, their religious views. So I know that I need to represent every single student in the county. I've been working in sales for the majority of my life, so I've always had to be able to get close to the middle when it comes to a topic, be able to reach across and shake a hand with somebody that I don't necessarily believe what they believe, and make sure that we find a way to cooperate and do what's best for the deal that we're working on. And I believe that's true for our children too. I mean, it's every single student in the county is who I represent no matter what I believe in.
Books in the curriculum and media centers are currently a contentious issue. What will be your approach in striking the balance in such a way that meets the needs of all families?
So recently we've made some changes, so I don't believe that the book issue is as big of a deal as it used to be, because we do have some policies in place for review. We have a group of parents, teachers, Board of Ed, administrators that are involved in reviewing books that are brought to light if they are an issue, if somebody thinks that the book is not appropriate. I think we've always had guardrails when it comes to books, but recently we've been addressing it a lot more. I know there are some books that are gray, borderline books that one group may like, another group hates. I think we need to make sure that it's safe, and if it's a required reading, then that's one thing. Those will fall into a tighter standard, but if it's an allowed reading, meaning it's in a media center or it's available to a student, that falls into another guideline. So I think we're doing a really good job recently over the last, I think it seems like 4 to 6 years now. I know I get
Thanks, Joe.
more emails than I've ever had before.
Thank you. What is your stance on commitment to the spending required by Maryland's Blueprint for Excellence education reform plan?
Well, as I know it, it's going to be a law, so it's going to be required. So my commitment is to follow the laws that the Maryland state tells us to follow. So I would probably need to figure out or ask more about what you mean by that. I know we have to get to a certain level for starting salaries for teachers by 26, I think, and I think we just have to do that. I mean, I don't know how there would be an argument to do anything different than what they're telling us to do within the laws that are provided to us by the state. So that's all I have for that answer, because I don't know how to dive into that any deeper.
In the state of Maryland, Board of Education seats are nonpartisan. Why do you think this is the case? And as an elected member, how will you ensure that CCPS will be led in a nonpartisan manner?
I think it's a case because we represent every student in the county, and so if you're going to represent all students, it has to be a nonpartisan position. Personally, I've not taken sides with any sort of political groups. I'm not on any mailings or postcards that are leaning one way or the other. You can find out by looking up. I am a registered Republican. I lean more conservative, but I also try to stay in the center as much as I possibly can. I completely disagree with anybody retreating far right or far left, because then we can't reach each other and we can't find a way to have a solution for our children. So my view is to always kind of get as close to the middle as possible, to be able to work with everybody within the county, our executives, every student, all of our teachers, and all of our admin. And I don't think there's a way to do that by creating partisan divide.
What in your platform differentiates you from your opponent?
I would say I don't have a lot to say about my opponent, and I'm probably going to leave it at that. I think I'll say this on the record. I do like Justin. He is an opponent of mine. I've talked to him. I've communicated with him. We both get along. I have no reason to sling mud in any direction. I don't want to get involved in that. I think everybody that's running for school board, I think they're all good people that all want to do well for our children. What's different is that I may be a little more likely to stay neutral, maybe stay more calm. He's definitely can be a little more fiery on some topics than I can be. But in general, I think he's a good guy. I think everybody that's running, they're all good people, and I think we all want what's best for our children. We just look at it in a different way, and we all have different views. And so I don't want to say anything that would be considered negative towards Justin and any of my opponents or any of the other people running.
And that was the last question. Thank you so much for your participation today, Joe.
Thank you. Good job. Thanks for not karate chopping me.
Please introduce yourself and why you're running.
Hi, I'm Renee Sherry Dixon. Stuck my maiden name in there. I'm a lifelong resident of Cecil County. For the last 41 years, I have ran two very successful businesses. One is Rolling Hills Ranch for everyone, where we teach horseback riding. And the other one is Freedom Hills Therapeutic Riding Program, where we teach people who happen to have mental, physical, and or emotional difficulties. The reason I'm running for school board is many different reasons, but a couple of them is I believe that the school board needs to be run like a business, and I have a big heart for children, and I do have a chance to meet and talk with many of my parents and many of my children, and I'm out in the community quite often, and I understand that they could use some help on the school board.
Explain your position on maintenance of effort funding from county government and how CCPS will best move forward under your leadership to address funding challenges.
From what I understand with the blueprint that is coming down the Kerwin paperwork, okay, that the teachers will be getting a raise, which is fantastic. I totally believe that teachers need to have a raise. When that money comes through, I think that we need to be very responsible of what we do with that money. We need to concentrate on children's education. We need to keep politics out of the classroom so that our children are getting the best education that they can get, so that we are turning out responsible citizens who will be good Americans and run our country as it needs to be ran.
As a member of the Board of Education, it's your role to advocate for all students while following state and federal laws, such as those addressing transgender students that may differ from your personal beliefs. How would you navigate these sensitive issues within the bounds of the law while keeping community standards in mind and values?
That's a good question. Thank you. I love all children, as I said, and I think that everyone needs to be treated equally. I believe when we're talking about people who happen to be transgender, we need to treat them with respect, but we also have to have a great amount of respect for the majority of the children who also go to the schools. I will love it when they finally have, the bathrooms, I don't want to call them transgender bathrooms, but a bathroom that everybody can use. I don't think it's fair for a child who is a biological girl and comfortable being a biological girl to have to use the bathroom with a biological boy. So I think we need to work very quickly to get the extra bathrooms into the school systems. If a young lady wants to be called a he or a him, that is their business.
Books in the curriculum and media centers are currently a contentious issue. What will be your approach in striking the balance in such a way that meets the needs of all families?
I think that we need to be very careful to keep pornography out of the classrooms. Now, we're not talking about banning books. If there is a book that has pornography in it, they can take that book to the public library. They can keep that book at a bookstore. But books with pornography in them should not be in any classrooms.
What is your stance on commitment to the spending required by Maryland's Blueprint for Excellence Education Reform Plan?
I think I already talked about that, but it's okay. I'll address it again. So we do have we do have the blueprint that is coming down to the county. Again, I'm very excited that teachers will be getting raises. I think we need to be very careful with that money that is coming forward to make sure that our children are getting the best education that they can get, and that money doesn't slip into other areas where the children aren't receiving the benefits that they need.
In the state of Maryland, Board of Education seats are nonpartisan. Why do you think this is the case? And as an elected member, how will you ensure that CCPS will be led in a nonpartisan manner?
I believe it's important to keep it bipartisan because we are representing everybody in Cecil County. We're representing every child in Cecil County. I would love to keep politics out of everything that we do. I think that we need to start looking at children as children and teaching them to the best of their ability, and that's where we need to concentrate, is making sure that our children are learning, getting the education that they need to be productive citizens when they get out into the world and they're earning a living. Because the children that we are working with today are our leadership for tomorrow.
What in your platform differentiates you from your opponent?
I think Mr. Malish is great. We've become really good friends. I believe that I probably have some stronger opinions on things. I want to stand up more for the parents than maybe he has. I think that we have a majority of parents that were overlooked when decisions were made in the past years, like when we talk about masking, and I know that eventually things are going to come down from the state telling us that we have to do certain things with our children. And I'm willing to work against that. I'm willing to fight the state. I'm already building a coalition with other board members in the state so that we can go to Annapolis and we can fight issues that are coming down through Annapolis that the majority of Cecil County does not agree with.
Thank you for your participation today. Please introduce yourself and why you're running.
Okay, my name is William Malish, and the most relevant thing in the world, I believe, is people. It's not gold or anything else, and that's why I'm here. 50-year resident of Cecil County, longest board member at 3 years as board president. I run a business, an LLC, for 47 years in Cecil County. I was a classroom teacher for 34 years. My entire family are educators. My wife's in Cecil as a counselor. My son and future daughter-in-law are both educators here. My other daughter is a PhD, associate professor at the University of Colorado, and my other daughter teaches English with an admin degree. I have been through Bachelor of Science, University of Maryland, master's degree at Johns Hopkins, advanced leadership degree in critique of research and government and politics, also from Johns Hopkins. My father played football for Notre Dame. He was an educator as well. Physical education, of course, football player. That's all I have for that. Thank you.
Explain your position on maintenance of effort funding from our county government and how CCPS will best move forward under your leadership to address funding challenges.
That is one of the biggest challenges we have right now. We have a lot of situations, a lot of large classrooms. Maintenance of effort is the minimum that they have to give us. Now, those things are actually changing by legislative law soon, so those numbers are going to be changing as well. But we have 39 kids in some classrooms. We have, we've lost emotional support personnel, which is really positive, and we need to just really push as a community, all of us together, to realize how important education is and how it's the future of Cecil County. We need a world-class education system to develop employees that will bring industry other than warehouses to the county. I mean, warehouses are great, they employ people, but how about some biotech things? How about some other things that would advantage the people that are living here to a great degree? We need to break this income poverty we have with 40% of our people on free and reduced lunch. We need to bring them up and bring them forward.
As a member of the Board of Education, it's your role to advocate for all students while following state and federal laws, such as those addressing transgender students that may differ from your personal beliefs. How would you navigate these sensitive issues within the bounds of the law while keeping community values in mind?
That's a very hot topic right now, and it's very true. My belief is that everyone has an equal chance and equal opportunity, and I need to protect all people, whatever gender situation they put themselves in, and gear on education and not conflict. Bring the communities in, gear on education and not conflict. We need to push these people forward, get them into college, get them a good quality job, and not worry about our differences. We need to worry about how we work together and how we can join and work for Cecil County as a group.
Books in the curriculum and media centers are currently a contentious issue. What will be your approach in striking the balance in such a way that meets the needs of all families?
Well, we've already addressed that. We were early to address that a year ago when this really became a main issue. We've developed committees. We review all books. Every board member, I have 3 books at home I'm reviewing. Every board member reviews books. Parents can opt out of books if they don't like them. We give them some alternatives, and we're very active in that. Our committee right now is going through all the books, and some high school libraries have 3,000 books, and we have 16,000 trade books, so it's a large task. And if we find something that they don't like and we agree with them, we just remove it and go on from there, as we rotate our books quite often, and we need to keep reviewing them. I mean, it's an issue and it should be dealt with, and we want to do it with community involvement all the time.
What's your stance on commitment to the spending required by Maryland's Blueprint for Education, Blueprint for Excellence Education Reform Plan?
Okay, that plan's about that thick, and I think that's the brief. It's very complicated. Salaries, income, positions are all going to be changing in the next 10 years. A lot of money is going to be coming from education, but when they dictate all of our teachers will start at $60,000 in 3 years, the county's got to support that budget, or we're in a situation where we're going to have to lay off 300 or 400 or 500 people to keep that salary scale. So we need the funding. The state's also working with the counties to make sure they have the funding to do this. Very complicated. It's going to be really exciting, and it's going to bring Maryland in the degree where some of the European schools are for tremendous high performance. So there's a lot to coming down in the next few years, and very complicated, and we'll keep track of it the best we can.
In the state of Maryland, Board of Education seats are nonpartisan. Why do you think this is the case? And as an elected member, how will you ensure that CCPS will be led in a nonpartisan manner?
Well, I completely agree with that, and I've always been nonpartisan. I've been in this job for 8 years and 3 years board president, and politics was the furthest thing from my mind. It's just quality education, world-class education, and it's the best thing to do to be nonpartisan, because you don't need nonpartisan. You don't need politics to be involved in your day-to-day decisions. We're talking about cafeteria workers. We're talking about bus drivers. We're talking about cameras in the school. We're talking about safe school entrances. We don't need to fight people over politics on it. We need to get together and say, this is what we need to do. Help us. All of us work together. All of us be creative and active people in the school system. I like politics in some ways because it's bringing people out to get involved with the conversation. When they're involved with the conversation, I think they will know that their board and the people there have all presented a great teamwork decision, as we've done in the county in the past. And just be part of the team, and I think you will agree that we're doing a really good job, and we need your input as well.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
What in your platform differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, my platform basically is saying that my experience in the board is we've built cooperation, moving forward, and problem solving. The pandemic presented terrible problems. We probably did the best job of any county in the state of Maryland. We had problems when nobody was having problems. We had graduations when nobody was having graduation. You ever see a prom that's a non-contact dance prom? The kids loved it though. They got a chance to be there versus being home and not having a prom. So we are always doing that problem-solving thing. You need to be with us. And when this is all over, my goal is let's bring the county together. Let's all work together to create the best school system we can. We're going to have differences, but everybody has differences. The world's made like that. And it really makes the world a lot richer. So let's work together and become a team and bring everybody back in line. And all the political stuff can go out there somewhere, and we can be a creative, problem-solving group of people developing the best education possible.
Thank you for participating today.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself and why you're running.
Oh goodness, that's a long question for 60 seconds. I'm currently the president of the Board of Education. I'm a current parent. My name's Diana Hawley, by the way. I'm a current parent. I have a 2022 graduate and a junior in high school. I've been involved in the school system as a parent volunteer for about 13 years since my daughter started kindergarten. I've been involved as classroom volunteer, PTO leader, served on CCPS committees. I am on the board now, as I mentioned, and I have served 2 years as vice president. Now I'm president. And I also am active on MABE, which is the Maryland Association of Boards of Education. I serve on their board of directors, which is a job that I will continue to do if I am reelected. And why I'm doing it is because I care. I care about our students. I care about our staff. I'm in our schools. I see these needs, and I really know that I can work to make a difference in their lives.
Explain your position on maintenance of effort funding from county government and how CCPS will best move forward under your leadership to address funding challenges.
First off, maintenance of effort is pretty obvious that I believe that it's not okay. When we ask for a certain amount of money every year, 85% of our operating cost is people. So if we're underfunded, essentially we have to lose 15 positions for every $100 million that we're underfunded. And right now, that's a pretty big deal because our challenges of our students are absolutely great. And we need more staff, we need smaller staff sizes, we need more mental health resources. And I will continue to advocate for that. Also, our facilities funding, our small cap funding, I think asked for $3.5 million last year and got $300,000. So it increases our deferred maintenance, which is already $20 million. I will continue to advocate with the county leadership. It's the county executive does the budget. County council can't add to that budget, but we constantly are in communication.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
As a member of the Board of Education, it's your role to advocate for all students while following state and federal laws, such as those addressing transgender students that may differ from your personal beliefs. How would you navigate these sensitive issues within the bounds of the law while keeping community values in mind?
Good question. Obviously, you said it's a law. There was a case, Grimm versus Gloucester County, I can never say that right, where it was decided in the 4th District that transgender youth are able to use bathrooms of the gender that they identify with. So bearing that in mind, our goal is always to make sure that all children feel safe. What we have done is sort of making sure that happens. We added single-use bathrooms in middle school and high school, so every child who wants to feel safe in a bathroom can have that accessibility. Also, it's important to note that our locker rooms, people think that people are showering in locker rooms. That's not happening in high schools and middle schools. People want to change in locker rooms, and they can do that in a stall as well. Thank you.
Books in the curriculum and media centers are currently a contentious issue. what will be your approach in striking the balance in such a way that meets the needs of all families?
I think it's important to note that we need a process. We need a consistent process. And part of that process is what we've done. It's transparent. We have curriculum transparency. There's a process for selection, but also allowing parent voice so that if a parent disagrees with some instructional material, we also now have a process in place for them to fill out a form and say that they don't think this is appropriate, and it goes to a committee. So again, it's not one person deciding. It's a group of educators, stakeholders who are trained professionals in this. And I believe in parent voice, but I don't think just because you have a parent voice over your child, you should have parent voice over every child.
What is your stance on commitment to the spending required by Maryland's Blueprint for Excellence Education Reform Plan?
So there's 5 pillars to that, and it's pretty complex, that blueprint. We have a pretty good long-term plan in place for funding our staff, making sure that we hit the career ladders that we need by the fiscal year. I think it's 25 or 26 that we need to do that. So that's embedded in contracts. Special education, equity. The blueprint is based on equity. And equity means providing every student what they need in order to succeed, whether you have a disability, whether depending on your race, depending on your poverty level. So it's really just providing what students need in order to succeed. And our mission right now is equity. You know, it's in our mission, and that's how we serve our students.
In the state of Maryland, Board of Education seats are nonpartisan. Why do you think this is the case? And as an elected member, how will you ensure that CCPS will be led in a nonpartisan manner?
So I've done this for 4 years. This is huge for me. You cannot lead in a school board position if you have a political lens, period. You have to serve all students, regardless of whether your values are different than their family values, because you need to respect those differences. And I think it's important for students to also respect diversity. I think it's important for students to understand that everybody is different and that that's okay, and to understand those differences. And that makes you a worldly citizen when you graduate and you want to go to college or you want to have a career. Whatever you do in life, that's important.
What in your platform differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, I think my experience. I feel like I know way more than I did 4 years ago, and I'm still continuing to learn. But I think, I feel like a lot of times there's extremism involved, and extremism is not. There's no place for extremism in education. You need to understand the needs of our students. You need to understand the needs of our staff. You need to make sure that you're able to provide the resources to meet those needs. And I'm in schools. I've been in schools for 13 years. I was a substitute teacher, I think, for 5 years in CCPS. My background's in early childhood education, early intervention. So I bring a lot of experience to the table and a lot of knowledge.
Thank you for participating today.
Thank you.
Diana Hawley. Please introduce yourself and why you're running.
Sure. Good morning, I'm Russ Johnson, and I'm running for the District 5 school board seat. Other than the time I spent as an infantry officer in the United States Army, my wife Margie and I have been lifelong residents of Cecil County, and we're both graduates of Cecil County Public Schools, as are our 2 sons, Clay and Dylan. After CCPS, I went on to graduate from McDaniel College, Margie from Salisbury, Clay from West Virginia University, and Dylan from Pittsburgh State University. Clay spends most of his time in British Columbia, Canada, as a geotechnical engineer building a oil pipeline, and Dylan in the greater Denver area as a construction superintendent. I spent 16 years after the military working in the security industry, where I rose to the level of senior vice president and served on the company's executive committee. For the last 20 years, I've worked locally in the real estate industry, and currently in
very
the
much for your
owner-broker
answer. That's 60
of my real
seconds.
estate GPS.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Explain your position on maintenance of effort funding from county government and how CCPS will best move forward under your leadership to address funding challenges.
Sure. That's always the challenge every year. I think the first step is that we as a board need to develop a better relationship with the county executive's office as well as the county council. I would propose as a board member, and assuming that the board would agree, to establish a standard monthly meeting at the county council meetings in order to make sure that they understand and the public understands what our needs are and where we need to go. Secondly, we need to do the same with the county executive. She in this case, or whoever that may be, is the sole decider of how much money is going to be provided above maintenance of effort to the school system. With the blueprint now in play and law, what we're going to see as a county cumulatively between now.
Thank you very much for your answer. As a member of the Board of Education, it is your role to advocate for all students while following state and federal laws, such as those addressing transgender students that may differ from your personal beliefs. How would you navigate these sensitive issues within the bounds of law while keeping community values in mind?
Sure. It's a very hot topic right now nationally, and all we have to do is look over the Susquehanna River, and it's really brewing in Harford County as well. The board has to be law compliers, so we have to work within the law in order to work legally and operate legally. I would, first of all, must support whatever the law is, but we have opportunities to challenge those laws, to speak on behalf of our beliefs, and to get more parents in the community involved in order to attempt to work out a program that will benefit all students and at the same time be in compliance with the law.
Books in the curriculum and media centers are currently a contentious issue. What will be your approach in striking the balance in such a way that meets the needs of all families?
Sure. I think, first of all, the board has already done that. The board has created a policy which didn't exist before, and it came as a result of parental involvement and parents' parental concern. The board listened and created a policy that I support 100%. It allows for a parent or an individual in the public to challenge a particular book or material that's used in the classroom, and it's already been put to use. So I believe that it's a good policy, and I support that policy.
What's your stance on commitment to the spending required by Maryland's Blueprint for Excellence Education Reform Plan?
Sure. It wouldn't matter what I think because it is law, and we're going to be required to do that. What's interesting is, and I don't think the community knows this, is that the cumulative cost of implementing the blueprint between now and 2034 is $104.5 million above what would be projected as the normal maintenance of effort over that period of time. That's a lot of money, and we're going to need to figure out locally, working with the county executive and with the county council, creative ways in order to fund this without raising taxes without raising the taxes, really. So I support the funding of it. We're going to have to fund it, and it's just a matter of working together as a group and the whole community to figure out how we do fund it.
In the state of Maryland, Board of Education seats are nonpartisan. Why do you think this is the case? And as an elected member, how will you ensure CCPS will be led in a nonpartisan manner?
Well, first of all, I think that the nonpartisan label is certainly used in the election period, election timeframe as a tool to indicate or try to say that a candidate is not complying with that. My view of the nonpartisan status is that the law was actually created in order to allow for everyone, regardless of your party affiliation, to vote for school board candidates during the primary. And the reason, in Maryland, we have a closed primary, so the legislature wanted all members of the community to be able to vote for school board members. So that's where the nonpartisanship, the nonpartisan election came in. If you were aligned as a Republican or a Democrat, then only people in that party could vote for you in the primary. So I believe that's the case.
What in your platform differentiates you from your opponent?
Well, first of all, I believe that here in Cecil County we have awesome kids and world-class teachers. And I think that the future of this community is dependent upon the success of those two groups of people. But our kids have fallen behind, and we have to attack that problem and bring our kids up to grade level. Probably the most differentiation between myself and my opponent would be that I bring a different experience base to the table, and it's important that the Board of Education be representative of all beliefs and values and views of the community, and I think I bring a different view to the table.
Thank you for participating today. Russ Johnson.
Can you give Josh a round of applause? Again, thank you all for attending today. Board of Education seats are critically important positions, and I really appreciate that you took the time today to be here with us. I want to again thank the committee who helped put this together, Beth Creek, Joe Shepard, Liz Monty, Josh Hayhurst, and I encourage you to get out and vote. I also want to thank the School of Technology culinary students who prepared our breakfast that we had today, and thank the School of Technology staff for letting us have this event here today. So thank you again. We really appreciate it.